going on, Jerome's? So obviously Minnesota Vikings have some free agent questions at cornerback with in-house free agents. Byron Murphy Jr., who's going to get paid, is going to be here or somewhere else. But also a lot of veteran depth are free agents as well. Stephon Gilmore, is he back for another year? I believe that's Mr. Gilmore's. Or does he retire? As well as Shaq Griffin, who I thought played well in spurts, but is he going to be back for another year? Also, it makes me feel really old that – so Shaq Griffin – twin brothers with Shaquem and all that stuff. He's probably named after Shaquille O'Neal, right? It's really depressing that a player that was named after Shaquille O'Neal is now considered old. That just compounds the error. How long until we get some LeBrons in the NFL? That's what I'm waiting for, man. But with Griffin, TBD if he's going to be back, and the Vikings cornerback room, I mean, I like Nudie McLaughlin a lot. I like Mekhi Blackman a lot. But as you've seen from Brian Flores, he does tend to lean towards the veterans. Veterans who know what they're doing, veterans that communicate, and veterans that he can trust on the field. And it is a offshoot of Zimmer. Oh, Zimmer's never played in the rookies, right? But in terms of all the looks that Flores puts out there, the complications of the defense, like it does lend itself to older players. The guys that have been around the block and pros. And long story longer, one of those type of players is now available as a free agent immediately. As rap sheet, the Dolphins have officially released cornerback Kendall Fuller, running back Raheem Mostert, and tight end Durham Smythe, the latter of whom is their longest tenure player. With Fuller, they save around $7.5 million in cap space, so it's just a procedural move. And it's actually good that some of these veterans are out, almost a full month before the start of free agency, because they can sign anytime. They can sign right now. And some veterans do that because they understand that, hey, after big-time open free agency, after the draft, sometimes that money dries up. And it's good to, especially if you're an older veteran, even if you still got something left in the tank, but you're not going to be courted, you're not going to be in demand, there's not going to be a bidding war for your services, it does make sense to lock down a deal, guarantee yourself a contract before the storm comes in. So I think this is a really good spot for the Vikings to just get all up in the Kendall Fuller business. And Kendall Fuller would not be signed to replace Murph. Now, you're not going to have him be your alpha cornerback one. What you would do is sign Kendall Fuller to replace Gilly or to replace Shaq as your veteran cornerbacks on the outside. Let's talk about Kendall Fuller today. Background. So just turned 30 in February, 5'11", a $198, played his college ball at Virginia Tech, just like the rest of the Fuller dynasty. So older brothers Vincent, Corey, and of course Kyle Fuller, played at Virginia Tech, go Hokies, as well as in the NFL. Kyle Fuller was a bad dude for a long time. I think he was all-pro with the Bears one year. Just a really damn solid cornerback. Kendall, third-round pick by the Commies 2016, actually traded to the Chiefs in 2018 as part of the Alex Smith trade. Won a Super Bowl at KC. Made some big-time plays at the end of that Super Bowl. Hey, Jimmy Garoppolo, Kendall Fuller's your worst nightmare, man. Then it just went back to Washington, which is kind of funny. 4-year, $40 million deal, and was really rock solid for the Commies during that 4-year stretch between 2020 and 2023. 82.1 PFF grade during that stretch, 49 passes broken up, 10 interceptions, 2 pick sixes during his second tenure with the Commies, 78.2 quarterback rating with Thronet, which is good. It's pretty good. Then he ended up signing a 2-year, $50 million deal with the Dolphins, and the Dolphins defense was just sort of a mess. Hey, Dolphins, instead of saying kick rocks, how about you kept Fangio and listen to him? I don't know, maybe things would have worked out, but only played in 11 games, had a concussion as well as a couple other injuries, and just had a down year. Just sort of is what it is. But Kendall Fuller still certainly brings a lot to the table. Tough, physical, veteran corner. Best suited to cover 2 quarters coverage. So that's exactly what Flores has been doing over the last couple of years. Solid tackler and run support as well. High level veteran, high football IQ, as well as can communicate on the back end. So if you do see Fuller as like a 1-for-1 replacement for Gilly or Shaq, that's what the mold is going to be. And he is a gambler, both good and bad. Sometimes you win when you gamble. Sometimes you lose. I do think that he would be a value free agent. I don't even think he comes close to that $7.5 million average that he got from Miami last year. I think that he's probably looking at like a 1-year, $5 million deal something like that. Also, like we said, since he was cut, he can be signed now. Yeah, and generally players may take a little bit less to just lock in a contract and some guaranteed money before the wave of free agency and the draft comes in, as rosters get filled out, money gets spent, etc. Also, he would not count against comp picks since he was a cut player and not off an expiring contract. And he's a little older. He's not tall, he's not long, he's not the long-term solution. But in terms of like a plug and play type corner, I think it does make sense. And you have seen that Flores does like players like this, like high football IQ, maybe a little bit older, so they're a little bit cheaper type cornerbacks. You look at Gilly, certainly could count Shaq Griffin, Moreau, as well as Bobby McCain isn't on here, but he would fit the mold as well. And I do think that Kendall Fuller would fit that bill. So I think that the Vikings should at least be quasi-interested in Fuller, who played some high-level football in the not-so-recent past. Last year with Miami, just sort of a wash. But I think that you have a value free agent, a high football IQ guy, a veteran who knows what he's doing when he's on the field, as well as you can sign him now, which would be fantastic, and for not a ton. I think all that adds up for a player that Flores and Kwesi and company should certainly be all up in on. Your thoughts are thoughts. Vikings, should they sign free agent cornerback Kendall Fuller? Yes. Yes. Let us know your thoughts. Our thoughts, comment section. You guys are the best. You know what to do. Skull, production value.